The billionaire left her behind until destiny forced their reunion, the unexpected encounter. Fiona Reed smoothed down her vintage black dress, a lucky find from a second-hand boutique that belied her precarious financial situation. The Westlake Charity Gala represented more than just another social event. It was her last chance to network and save her floundering interior design business. At 32, with a modest portfolio of residential projects and a studio apartment doubling as her office, Fiona had reached a critical juncture in her career. "You're going to charm them all," her best friend Tessa whispered, adjusting the simple pearl necklace around Fiona's neck. "Remember, you're the one who transformed that dump of a restaurant into the most Instagram-worthy spot in the city." Fiona nodded, though the confidence didn't quite reach her eyes. "Let's hope someone here needs a miracle worker who charges reasonable rates." The ballroom of the Heritage Hotel sparkled with wealth and influence. Crystal chandeliers cast a golden glow over Portland's elite as they mingled, their conversations a symphony of business opportunities and charitable donations. Fiona clutched her single glass of champagne, a prop to make her look more at ease than she felt. "I'll make a lap around the east side," Tessa said. "You take the west. Anyone with a lapel pin worth more than my car is a potential client." With a deep breath, Fiona began her calculated circuit of the room. She had just struck up a conversation with a friendly real estate developer when she felt it. A prickling sensation at the back of her neck, the unmistakable feeling of being watched. She turned, and the champagne nearly slipped from her fingers. Dominic Vega, the man she'd spent 8 years trying to forget. He stood across the room, surrounded by admirers, exactly as she'd seen him in countless business magazines and tech blogs. At 34, he had transformed from the brilliant, passionate computer science major she'd loved into a tech titan worth billions. His startup, Neurasync, had revolutionized artificial intelligence interfaces, making him one of the youngest, self-made billionaires in the country, and the only man who had ever broken her heart. Their eyes locked across the crowded room, and Fiona saw the flicker of recognition, followed by something unreadable. She quickly turned away, her heart hammering against her ribs. "Are you all right?" the developer asked. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "Just remembered a deadline," Fiona lied, forcing a smile. "If you'll excuse me for a moment." She made her way toward the terrace doors, desperate for fresh air. The cool evening breeze was a welcome relief as she stepped outside, gripping the stone balustrade with trembling hands. "Fiona." The deep voice behind her sent a cascade of memories rushing back. Late nights studying in the campus library, his laughter as they ran through summer rain, the warmth of his arms around her waist, and finally, the cold emptiness when he disappeared from her life without explanation. "Hello, Dominic," she said, turning to face him with as much composure as she could muster. "Congratulations on your success. It seems you got everything you wanted." He stood before her, more handsome than she remembered in his perfectly tailored suit, his dark hair now styled with precision rather than the casual dishevelment of their college days. But his eyes, those deep brown eyes, remained unchanged. "Not everything," he said quietly. The weight of unspoken history hung between them. Fiona straightened her shoulders, determined not to show how deeply his presence affected her. "I hear Neurasync is expanding globally," she said, defaulting to polite conversation. "That must keep you busy." "Too busy, according to my executive team. They practically forced me to attend tonight." His gaze swept over her, taking in the changes 8 years had wrought. "You look beautiful, Fee." The old nickname stung. "Don't," she whispered. "We're not those people anymore." Before he could respond, Tessa appeared at the terrace doorway. "Fee, there's someone you need to meet." She stopped short, recognizing Dominic. "Oh, sorry to interrupt." "No interruption," Fiona said quickly. "Mr. Vega and I were just catching up." Old college acquaintances. Dominic's jaw tightened at the dismissive description. Actually, I was hoping to speak with Fiona about a potential project. Perhaps you could spare a few minutes tomorrow at my office? He handed her a business card, his fingers brushing against hers. I'm quite busy, Fiona began, but Tessa cut in. She'll be there. 10 o'clock works perfectly. After Dominic excused himself, Tessa grabbed Fiona's arm. Are you insane? That's Dominic Vega. Whatever history you have, his project could save your business. Fiona stared at the embossed card in her hand, feeling as though fate had just dealt her a card she never expected to play. Some prices are too high, she murmured, but even as she said it, she knew she would go. Her business, her dream, hung by a thread, and the man who had once walked away from her now held the scissors. A proposition of convenience. The Neurasync headquarters dominated the skyline, a gleaming testament to Dominic Vega's vision. Fiona stepped into the lobby, clutching her portfolio with white knuckles. The receptionist smiled professionally. Ms. Reed, Mr. Vega is expecting you. The elevator whisked her to the top floor, each ascending floor matching her rising anxiety. When the doors opened, Dominic was waiting, having dismissed his assistant to greet her personally. You came, he said, something like relief in his voice. This is strictly professional, Fiona replied, following him into his office, a space that reflected his success but lacked personality. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the city they'd once explored together as students. Dominic gestured to a sleek conference table. Coffee? I prefer we get straight to business, Fiona said, opening her portfolio. What project did you have in mind? His expression shifted to one she recognized from their college days, focused determination. I'm building a new global headquarters. Not just an office building, but a statement about what Neurasync represents. Innovation, vision, the future. And why approach me? You could hire any top firm in the world. Dominic leaned forward. Because you see beyond the surface. Your designs have soul, Fiona. That restaurant you transformed? I dined there last month. In a city full of trendy spaces, yours told a story. Fiona blinked in surprise. He'd been following her work? The budget would be substantial, he continued. Complete creative freedom, a contract that would establish you internationally. It was a lifeline she desperately needed, yet suspicion nagged. Why now, Dominic? After 8 years of silence? His gaze dropped momentarily. The timing aligned. Your talent, my need. That's it? Just coincidence? Does it matter? This could change everything for you. She knew he was right. Her business account was nearly empty. Her 3 employees had already taken pay cuts. This project could save everything she'd built. I'll need to review the contract, she said finally. And I maintain complete creative control. Something flickered. Across his face. Satisfaction, perhaps relief. Of course. My legal team will send over the paperwork today. As she rose to leave, he added, the project requires close collaboration. We'll be seeing a lot of each other. Fiona paused at the door. I can handle that if you can, Mr. Vega. His slight wince at the formality was almost imperceptible. I never doubted your strength, Fiona. It was always what I admired most about you. That night, as she signed the contract that would tether her to Dominic for the next year, Fiona wondered if she was making the biggest mistake of her career, or finally facing the ghost that had haunted her for 8 years. In her studio apartment, Tessa raised a glass of cheap wine, to saving Reed designs. To professional boundaries, Fiona countered, though even she didn't believe they would hold. Ghosts of the past 3 months into the Neurasync project, Fiona had established a temporary office in the building, her days consumed with blueprints and material samples. Her small team had expanded, her vision for the headquarters taking shape. In impressive renderings that had even the most skeptical board members nodding in approval. What she hadn't anticipated was how naturally she and Dominic fell back into their old rhythm of creative collaboration. He understood her concepts intuitively, challenging her ideas not to undermine, but to strengthen them. "The atrium should be the heart," she explained one evening, as they stood alone in the empty construction site. "Natural light filtering through these panels, creating patterns that shift throughout the day." Dominic moved beside her close enough that she could smell his familiar cologne. "Show me." She sketched quickly on her tablet, and he leaned in, his shoulder brushing hers. The contact sent an unwelcome jolt through her body. "Sorry," he murmured, stepping back. The space between them felt charged, dangerous. Later that week, Fiona's phone rang while she was reviewing samples. Her brother Julian's name flashed on the screen. "Julian, what's wrong?" she asked, immediately sensing trouble. "It's back," he said simply. The leukemia they thought he'd beaten 2 years ago had returned. He needed treatment, expensive treatment, and soon. Dominic found her in the design lab, staring blankly at color swatches. "What happened?" The concern in his eyes broke something in her. Before she could stop herself, she told him about Julian. "Take time off," he said immediately. "Whatever you need." "I can't afford to," she admitted. "This project is everything." "Fiona, don't. Please don't be kind to me right now." She gathered her composure. "Why did you really hire me, Dominic, after all this time?" His hesitation told her there was more to the story. "I've followed your career," he finally said. "Every project. When this headquarters became reality, I knew it had to be you." "That doesn't answer my question." He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture so familiar it ached. "The night before, I disappeared from your life. My mother came to see me." Fiona stilled. Patricia Vega, the formidable matriarch of a wealthy family that had lost everything before Dominic rebuilt their fortune. "She showed me emails, messages, evidence that you were using me for connections to launch your career. Said you'd been laughing about it with friends." The blood drained from Fiona's face. "That's a lie. I loved you." "I know that now," he said, quietly. "I discovered the truth a year later. But by then, you'd blocked me everywhere. Your roommate said you never wanted to hear my name again." Betrayal and lost years hung heavy between them. Before Fiona could respond, his assistant interrupted with urgent news. A competitor had leaked Fiona's preliminary designs online, claiming they were plagiarized. In the chaos that followed, the ghosts of their past retreated, replaced by a more immediate threat to everything Fiona had worked for. The Heart's Reckoning. The industrial espionage scandal exploded across tech news outlets. Fiona's designs, her original innovative vision for Neurosync's headquarters, were being called derivative, stolen. Her professional reputation teetered on the edge of ruin. "Cancel the contract," she told Dominic in his office, voice hollow. "Distance Neurosync from me before this damages your company." Instead of agreeing, Dominic looked at her with steely determination. "That's exactly what Meridian Tech wants. They've been trying to acquire my company for years. This isn't about corporate takeovers, Dominic. This is my career, everything I've built. Then we fight back. Together." What followed was a week of sleepless nights as they gathered evidence proving the originality of her designs. Julian's condition worsened, adding to her stress, but Dominic quietly arranged for a specialist to take his case. At the press conference, Fiona stood trembling beside Dominic as reporters fired questions about the allegations. "Ms. Reed's integrity is beyond question," Dominic stated firmly into the microphones. "Neurosync stands behind her completely. In fact," he paused, eyes meeting hers briefly, "we're accelerating our timeline. Construction begins next month. Later, away from the cameras," Fiona confronted him. "Why did you do that? You've tied your company's reputation to mine." "Because I believe in you." I always have. He stepped closer. Even when I thought you'd betrayed me, I couldn't stop thinking about you. That's why I kept track of your career, why I followed your work. The admission hung between them, raw and honest. I can't do this again, she whispered. Trust you, only to have it shattered. I'm not asking for trust yet, just time. Their moment was interrupted by his phone. The caller ID made Dominic's face harden. Patricia Vega. Mother, he answered, putting it on speaker defiantly. I'm with Fiona Reed. The silence was telling. Then, I heard about your little press conference. Have you lost your mind? That girl will ruin everything we've built. That girl is the most talented designer in the country, and you nearly destroyed her career once. It won't happen again. I protected you, Patricia hissed. She was distracting you from your potential. No, you lied to me, and I let you because I was young and afraid of failing. After he hung up, the weight of years of manipulation settled between them. She's flying in tomorrow, he said quietly, to handle the situation. Fiona gathered her courage. Then we should be ready for her. For the first time in 8 years, they stood united against the forces that had torn them apart. Redesigning Destiny Patricia Vega arrived like a storm, sweeping into the Neurasync offices with a team of lawyers and PR specialists. Her sleek silver hair and immaculate appearance belied her 60 years, and the ruthlessness that had helped. Her son rebuild the family fortune. Dominic, she said coolly, ignoring Fiona completely, the board is assembled as requested. The emergency board meeting had been Dominic's idea, a preemptive strike. Fiona stood beside him as they entered the boardroom, her designs for the headquarters displayed prominently on screens around the room. Gentlemen, ladies, Dominic began, my mother believes Ms. Reed is a liability to Neurasync. I've called. You here to demonstrate why she's actually our greatest asset? For the next hour, Fiona presented her vision with a confidence that surprised even herself. The headquarters would not just be a building, but a testament to sustainable innovation, living walls that purified air, kinetic floors generating energy, spaces designed to foster both collaboration and reflection. This isn't just about aesthetics, she concluded. It's about embodying Neurasync's values in physical form. Patricia interrupted, her voice razor-sharp. Very pretty pictures, but Ms. Reed's reputation is compromised. The Meridian allegations have been disproven, Dominic cut in, nodding to his legal counsel who distributed documents to the board. In fact, we've uncovered evidence that Meridian attempted corporate espionage. The Justice Department has opened an investigation. The board members murmured among themselves, impressed by the swift resolution. Furthermore, Dominic continued, I'm announcing a personal investment in Reed Designs, establishing it as an independent subsidiary focused on humanitarian architecture. Their first project, affordable housing incorporating our technology. Fiona turned to him in shock. This hadn't been part of their discussion. Patricia's face paled. You cannot be serious. This woman is the reason I understand what Neurasync should truly represent, Dominic finished. 8 years ago, I chose ambition over love because you convinced me I couldn't have both. That was the biggest mistake of my life. The boardroom fell silent. Dominic turned to face Fiona directly. I'm not asking you to forgive me, he said quietly. I'm asking for the chance to earn back your trust, not just professionally, but personally. Patricia stood abruptly. If you do this, you're on your own. Dominic didn't even look at his mother as she stormed out. I've been on my own for years, Mother. The difference now is I'm finally making my own choices. 3 months later, the Neurasync headquarters was taking shape, a revolutionary structure that architecture magazines were already hailing as visionary. Julian was responding well to his treatments, and Reed Designs had opened a second office to handle the influx of new clients. Fiona found Dominic on the rooftop garden of the half-completed building, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of amber and rose. The board approved the additional solar array, she said, joining him at the railing. He nodded, but his mind seemed elsewhere. Do you remember that night in college, the blackout during finals week? Fiona smiled despite herself. We sat on the dormitory roof with those awful candles you bought at the dollar store, and I told you someday I'd build something that would change the world. He turned to her, the setting sun gilding his profile. What I didn't understand then was that buildings, companies, fortunes, they're just structures. It's the people, we build them with that matter. He reached for her hand, and this time she didn't pull away. I had to lose you to learn that, he said softly. And I had to find you again to make it right. The headquarters would open in spring, a monument to innovation and second chances. But as Fiona leaned against Dominic's shoulder, watching the city lights blink on below them, she knew the true redesign had been of their hearts. Spaces once closed, now open, foundations once broken, now strengthened, and a love once abandoned, now carefully, deliberately rebuilt. We're not the same people we were 8 years ago, she said, turning to face him. No, he agreed, brushing a strand of hair from her cheek. We're better. As the last light faded from the sky, Fiona Reed, no longer left behind, but standing, firmly in her future, reached up and sealed their new beginning with a kiss.